XM 105, Sirius 206, the Opie and Anthony channel. The Ron and Fez show starts right now.
Okay, let's get down to it, boppers.
All buddies, it's the Ron and Flex show on a Monday. 866 Ron Zero Fez. 866 Ron Zero Fez. Yesterday, Hicks, I got up early in the morning, drove down to the Chesapeake Bay with my family. We had 4.5 bushels of crabs.
Oh shit!
And then I drove back to New York.
Damn.
Now, normally you would only make a trip like that for pussy or dope. So I don't know where my head was at.
It was a crab run.
It really was. It was like being on like just a 24-hour run of crabs in Old Bay.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's the 11 hours in the car that was annoying, and the 14 major bridges and
Jesus.
1 block tunnel. But such is life. You in, you out. All right, 866 Ron Zero Fez. 866 Ron Zero Fez. Because of that, I have no idea what's going on in the world yet. Crack staff.
That's right.
Pips is on it. You and him are cool now after you get red-assed on Friday?
Everything is fine.
Pips, I don't know what he said to you, but I tried to chill him before he went in and talked to you. He said, hey, you don't want to be angry. You want him to learn.
I get anger takes over my brain sometimes.
I understand.
Very reactionary.
Well, just remember, are you punishing to teach, or are you punishing just because you're a sadistic bastard?
I can't figure that out yet.
Yeah.
Still trying to learn which one. I think it's probably the latter at this point.
You're the only person I ever met that doesn't have kids and is still a bad dad. So that's interesting. You're like the worst dad that has no children. And by the way, you did it in front of the girl interns when I was trying to stop you.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even fucking realize you were still in the room. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, Hicks, wait.
Stormed off.
866 Ron Zero Fez. 866 Ron Zero Fez. So, Chris Stanley, what's happening in your world?
All right. Over the weekend, Melky Cabrera, formerly of the Yankees, currently of the San Francisco Giants, got banned for 50 games. High testosterone, they said it's a banned substance. But what came out in this investigation is he tried to create a fake website for a fake product to blame on his high testosterone levels.
Well, there's already been precedent that if you accidentally take an over-the-counter thing that you don't know could fuck up your thing.
Yeah, and you could appeal it.
It's a much lesser thing. Like, you're still in trouble for that kind of thing, but they know that you're not going out of your way.
It wasn't deliberate or anything.
Now to see that you made up a fake website.
It's fucking hysterical. Melky Cabrera should not be banned for this fucking alone.
I think the fact of that goes to show the crazy shit that you do when you're in trouble.
Yeah, just going deeper and deeper down, just building a fucking house of lies. It's hysterical, man.
No different than Fred. And I don't understand why HR doesn't understand. Melky Cabrera is the kind of guy that should be in baseball.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, the guy wants to play.
They know how to look at websites and find out when they went on and track how many sales they have.
Or maybe just do a Google search of this fucking industry and see if it really fucking exists, or if you can actually order the product.
It just started 2 days ago.
Hey, Melky, I got this great idea. I know you just got banned for 50, but I know a guy who has a WordPress, and he can fucking make a fucking website for you.
It is oddly, and I'm sure baseball's going to be pissed at him, but oddly adorable.
I think it's awesome, and I think it's kind of, I don't know.
You know how they say, like, kids don't lie?
Yeah.
I got this 3-year-old in my family who, by the way, I know it's a problem, spent the entire day torturing crabs. Putting live crabs in trees.
Oh, come on.
Treating them like cars and was like scraping them around and stuff.
Oh, it's crabs.
But I had it in the back of my head. I'm like, at his age, if a crab were to hit the floor, I would have been on top of the table. This kid is like viciously into not being afraid. And like, then he's also extremely quiet.
Oh,
but
boy.
His dad has this classic car. And I watched this kid tear the front license plate off of it, and then looked at it laying down on the ground and then kicked it under the car. And I feel like that's what Melky did here.
If you fuck, hey.
See, this is what annoys me about me. I'm just going to wrap in everything that happens today with what I did yesterday.
It's all right.
It is the best sports story in a long, long time.
This is just so goddamn hysterical. They got. I mean, I don't know if they'll give him more fucking games now because he's got caught in this ridiculous fucking lie and tried to create a fake
I
substance.
think that he's going to have more coming his way. The cover-up is going to piss them off because they've got to also say, "Look, here's how we deal with cover-ups."
Yeah, you're a liar. Even
but
worse.
don't you think everybody in every dugout is laying on the fucking ground laughing about this?
The entire league is fucking busting the gut here, man. How can they not be?
There's always going to be someone who's better at the internet than you. You're never going to fool anyone.
Well, better at the internet, anyone would be able to see this. If he was in high school, his mom would be able to look at this fucking thrown-together site.
The number to call them is 555, Melky.
Yeah.
Come on.
Melky, it's your cell phone. Yeah, this did not take ex-NSA guys to crack this fucking code.
A fucking MLB intern probably figured this one out.
And started laughing.
What the fuck is Melky doing? All-Star MVP, too.
Yeah, sure, we all could if we were juiced up.
Hell yeah. This guy's on a couple of cycles.
Let's go over to Jenny. Jenny, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hi, Ron and Fez.
Hi, darling.
Hi, I just had a comment for you. I just found your station here. I just got serious. And I'm in Wisconsin. My mom is sick, and I keep driving 3 hours each way back and forth to take care of her. And I have to tell you, this show keeps me fucking going. It is so hilarious. You guys are so funny. Thank God I found this. And also, no offense, but your little nephew or 3-year-old kid sounds like a serial killer in the movie.
They've already discussed it, and his mom said to me, and I'm not making this up, we're already saving bail money for him.
Oh, God.
Now, listen to this. Well, because their dad is a hunter, him and his older brother, who also is fearless, but that kid's like 6, and they're just redneck to the core. I mean, hair down their back,
hell yeah, all right.
Crazy talking, and they're always hunting, fishing, and all right. So his uncle was mad at him not too long ago and gave him some shit, told him to stop doing stuff. And then finally, because he barely ever talks, he comes back in, like didn't even say it immediately, like walked in the other room for a while, and then came back in and said like this, "If you yell at me again, I'll cut your heart out."
Oh my
and
God.
Yeah, they said this isn't like an expression because his dad is teaching him how to clean animals and stuff, so he understands cutting out hearts.
Oh.
Okay, something is really wrong here. They need to save not only for bail, but for a psychiatrist.
Yeah, they're never going to do that. They don't care in that thing. They just feel like stay out in the woods and everything will be okay.
This kid's going to be a mountain man.
Both of them are like that.
Deliverance.
Yeah, they really could. You could do a reality show about them. Like, their mother looked outside, because they have like a little farm and all, and she said she looked out, and there's her 2 boys, like 3 and 6, just covered with blood, and the one kid is holding up the heart, going, "We got it. We cut it out."
God. They're screwed.
Yeah.
They're screwed.
It's a world of their own
Never
making.
seen enough.
Hey, you're a very good daughter to keep an eye on your mom, too. It's a very sweet story.
Thank God for you guys. You keep me going. This show is the best. I also visit, it's funny we're talking about bail, I visit my uncle in prison 3 hours away, too, and listen to this the whole way. I mean, I listened to you twice, and it just keeps me going.
What's your uncle in for?
Drunk driving.
Yeah, that don't make you a bad person.
Come on, that's just a bad break.
It doesn't.
You got to get the car home.
He killed a couple of people.
Okay, that part of it gets a little worse.
That's not good.
That's more of a manslaughter than a drunk driving.
Yeah, be honest.
You can't make the mistake.
No, you can't. So it's 30 years now. So
Okay. Okay.
Fuck.
Yeah.
All right.
No, you guys are hilarious. Thank you.
All right, take care of yourself now, Jenny.
I
Bye-bye.
will. You too.
Damn, 30 years.
She's going to judge my crazy family?
And this guy's fucking running people over left and right, piss drunk.
At least these kids focus on it and do it.
If they kill someone, they could carve them up. It'd be nice.
I'll cut your heart out.
Fuck, man. All right.
He said if that kid's in his house, he locks his bedroom door before he sleeps. And the kid is like a little Damien. But an adorable little Damien.
They always are. when they're Damien's.
But who carries around like live crabs and they got the pinchers going and all? And they were holding it and trying to explain it to me. And I'm like, you should be like one of those animal guys that goes on Letterman and tries to explain.
There you go.
And then puts it on the desk and everybody yells.
I'm going to freak you out, Dave.
God, they're insane. They look like little kid rocks.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, well, you know.
Living life. That sounds great.
It's their own scene. I don't judge. That's the difference between me and you, Hicks. I don't sit around and act like, everyone else should be at the beer garden in the store.
Maybe they should fucking be on a subway for once in their life. It could be a good experience.
Your experience is someday making over that Pulaski Bridge and getting into Brooklyn.
One day. Get out of this fucking Queens place. It's not even a long bridge. I don't know what's keeping me from getting over there. It's pretty pretty short.
All right, Fez Watley, what's your big story today?
This Osama bin Laden.
Oh yeah, he's crazy. You know what? We got to hunt that bastard down, kill him in his house, and then bury him at sea.
We did.
Oh, good.
But
all right, story done.
But now, weekend warriors can go and enjoy the same raid on Osama. There's a former Navy SEAL in Minnesota who has basically an Osama bin Laden fantasy camp where you can go in there, reenact the raid on his compound, and shoot him with paintballs while he's wearing all kinds of protective gear.
Right.
And it just, to me, it just trivializes what this man did. Why would you want to play a game?
Well, you're playing the game of, in the same way that you would play like Call of Duty, you're doing like a military game just to see what it'd be like to be part of a team like that.
Well, I think you could do that without having to involve an actual murderer who's responsible for 3,000 deaths. I think it trivializes
everything.
What the guy did.
Yeah, I don't doubt that it trivializes, but, they're just fucking around.
Just want to light some
It's nothing that should be fucked around with.
Well, would you have a problem if it was a SWAT team thing to go in and, act like you're shooting somebody? Because that's basically all this is.
No, that would be fine. A regular paintball, I've got no problem with.
But what I'm trying to say is, you're reenacting what it's like to bum rush a thing. You're not playing paintball out in the woods. You're trying to figure out what it's like to be part of a SEAL team, what you have to do to kind of interact with each other. And it's not that unlike that Call of Duty.
Love Call of Duty. It's fun as fuck.
Don't you think this is kind of just like physically doing it?
Kind of LARPing, actually. You're LARPing. It's fucking SEAL Team 6 LARPing.
You can do
I remember you dressing up like a dictator and walking through Times Square and waving to people, and that person killed 7 million Jews. I guess you trivialized that, but, you were just goofing. This is just a pastime thing.
Well, that was a bet that I lost. You can do all of this without adding Osama to it.
What do you care, though? I mean, if they don't put it in the news, you don't care, right? They were doing this before.
I wouldn't have known about it, true.
Yeah. Well, this is no big deal. It's not a big deal at all. Here was my thing when I got home last night, and I don't know whether you guys, when you were kids, read the poem about Richard Cory, where everybody admired Richard Cory, and he was the beautiful guy in town, and everybody, kind of wished they were him, and then one night he kills himself. I actually sat there looking at the Tony Scott suicide over and over and over, going, this guy's a big-time director, a big-time producer.
His brother is fucking gigantic fucking...
Everything that you should want in terms of success.
Yeah, top of Hollywood.
And, yeah, you don't even have to say I'm a fan of his movies, but if you're any kind of fan of success, you have to look at this guy and say, what more could, have went better? I mean, if you were going to fantasize about a life, this certainly would have been one. And here he is, like in his 60s. He's not being pushed out. As a matter of fact, him and his brother probably have more power. They had that big TV show that ran, so they're able to produce TV and film.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
And then he jumps off a bridge. And I just sat there trying to reread that story over and over.
It didn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I don't know what the fuck the poor bastard was going through, but I don't know. From the reports, it was saying that No hesitation or whatever. He just
they just said he jumped over it and off he went. And we've talked about this so many times. I could teach you how to kill yourself having a ball. It would probably take 6 months to a year of just really constant enjoyment.
Fucking whacked.
Yeah, whacked and.
Yeah, I mean, he's made some fucking gigantic films. Tony Scott. It's crazy. That's just his directing.
I will say this. Yeah. And, I know that some people are going to say, he just does commercial movies like Top Gun and stuff like that. But he may have directed the single greatest scene in history in True Romance.
Oh, my God.
Now I'll take the Chesterfield scene. I'll put that scene against anything. I don't know Tarantino wrote it, but he did direct it.
Yeah, he had a big hand in it. Plus, the beginning scene of The Last Boy Scout was pretty badass, too.
The Last Boy Scout is like if there was such a thing as a guilty pleasure. I don't turn that off.
It's fucking fun.
It seems like with a little tweaking, it could have been a great film. But I don't know what happened. I don't even know why.
They were saying there was a suicide note, or at least there were a couple of reports I read that there was, but they haven't released it yet. It was like in his car when he pulled over.
I saw that as soon as I got in last night, and I'm like, Jesus, dude.
It's really fucked.
You're in L.A., you're over the hump.
He had 12 films in pre-production. Pre- and post-production.
Between directing and producing, and yeah.
Fuck.
Here's Tom. Tom, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Morning, guys.
Yeah.
Regarding Tony Scott, it doesn't matter how much success you have. If the guy had a health problem, that's all it takes to push you over the edge.
That was the one thing that I was thinking about. Maybe there was some kind of, doctor thing that took him to that, too. Like maybe he had some exam that he figured out, I don't want to,
go through it, right?
Yeah, I
or
don't want to deal with that.
If he was in pain, if he was dealing with constant pain and there's something that you just can't get past, if you have to live with that sort of thing 24 hours a day, that can put you over the edge, man.
Yeah, I had never heard any of those kind of things. You normally do hear that kind of stuff. It's very, very rough. Very, very rough. And it always makes me curious, because...
It's scary.
Yeah, and also, this could happen to almost anybody. Now, you were telling me about some thing, because we've got so many military guys that come back and commit suicide, that they're trying to come up with something that could defeat it. Yeah,
I think that the suicides doubled within a month, military suicides. So the Army commissioned the University of Indiana to create an anti-suicide nasal spray, which is where you just pop it in your nose, and then if you're feeling suicidal, it'll basically, it has a calming antidepressant effect, is what they were calling it. It's some chemical called thyrotropin releasing hormone. So when you put it in your nose, you're feeling suicidal, you pump it into your fucking brain, and it gives you a calming antidepressant effect immediately. Which I don't know if that's a good thing, since it's just another dope. You know what I mean? I would hope that anything would work, but as soon as now we're snort. We've come up with how to do the snort thing by having a nasal spray. All right,
and it makes you wonder why that isn't available, for doctors to prescribe.
Well, that's what they're saying. It's brand new. It hasn't been tested yet.
It just got created.
So when they come up with any kind of new med, then it takes them $1 billion of testing because they can get the shit suit out of them. John, you're on the Ron and Fez show. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ronnie, didn't Hunter S. Thompson kill himself?
Well, there's actually, yes, is the official word. But there's also people who debate that if it wasn't...
the wife?
I didn't want to say that. But people do say that. But, again, he was a guy also who had physical pain, so you never know. And, he left this... one of the last things that he wrote was called Football Season Is Over, which was basically, you know how you hit that... It's after the Super Bowl, before spring training.
Shitty.
it's winter.
Yeah.
You know, you got to have a lot of things that interest you to stay alive. You have to get up in the morning and say, what interests me? What interests me?
Yeah, it was pretty short. No more games, no more bombs, no more walking, no more fun. 67, that's 17 years past 50. 17 more than needed or wanted. Jesus.
Yeah, it's, the reality of it is so many things come up that you go, though, man, I wish Hunter was commenting on this.
Hell yeah, it'd be great.
I mean, that's another thing of, I know that we live for ourselves, but at the same time, you live for other people as well. And you leave that void when you check out. At least maybe you should check in with everybody and say, here's where my head's at. This is what I'm leaning towards.
I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
Nice knowing you.
Like I planned on doing with Tony Scott.
Oh.
The weird thing about Tony Scott is, what would be better than being a big-time Hollywood producer?
Fucking huge for 20 plus, probably almost 30 years, probably. His first, early 80s were his first fucking big hits.
We did that David Bowie,
The Hunger.
yeah, that's it, the vampire movie.
Yeah.
And then the Tom Cruise movies were, gigantic.
Top Gun, Days of Thunder, gigantic. And then Beverly Hills Cop 2, Last Boy Scout, Crimson Tide.
They were actually talking about doing a Top Gun 2.
Yeah.
With Tom Cruise, I guess, as the flight instructor or something, and, finding some young new guy. The Tom Cruise is like, hey, I did this, I was just like you, dude.
I was fucking flying these things in the 80s, all right?
I was flying straight into the danger zone.
Yeah, just huge films.
Here's Sue and Montclair. You're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, Ronnie. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I've been thinking a lot about this in the last year. I think that they need to come up with some sort of support programs for soldiers when they come back. They're not immediately reunited with their families, but maybe they spend 6 or 8 weeks working with children or doing some sort of positive outreach program just to sort of readapt to society, do something positive that sort of is very far away from the violence and the killing.
Well, here's the other weird thing, too, is unlike, let's say, World War II, where you would wait for that letter that would come, a couple letters a year, and you would send a couple letters, you are in these hairy situations and then going home and Skyping with the wife at night. You know what I mean? Your wife is still saying, the Little League coach isn't playing Johnny, and you know what I mean? Like, there's a weird thing of normalcy.
There's no disconnect.
Yeah, that stands right next to the horrors of war. And this stuff is kind of outpacing what psychologists could do, because the whole point of this thing right from the beginning is we're not going to treat these guys like the Vietnam veterans. They're going to have a better thing, and that's what everybody said, and it hasn't been successful. That we have tons of these guys that have amazing amount of problems, and it's also just like every other thing when veterans come back, society gets turned off by it. You know what I mean? Like, they almost look the other way.
Well, it's they don't want to deal with it.
I mean, better than even any of these programs, it would be great if these guys could come back to some kind of work that would make them, again, feel important, part of things. It's a tough fucking call.
It's almost like if the military feels like if they just get them home, then they're home, they're safe, that's fine.
That's what every military has done in history. You know what I mean? Like, every military in the history of the world has no idea of, now that we've trained these guys in this way to do this thing, now what? They basically say, thanks for your service, and now, find your way. And, they have these programs, but a lot of these guys aren't the type to want to join these programs to sit and talk about yourself. I mean, her thing of working with kids. There's probably not a lot of guys that want to come back from Afghanistan and then sit there and, help kids color or whatever the hell they do.
That doesn't sound
No, that's a strawberry. See that? That's straw. Sound it out. Burr.
Strawberry.
I had to clock you right now, kid. I had to just take you out.
Hey.
Here's Steve. Steve, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, what's up, Ronnie? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, I'm active duty with the military right now, and I literally just got back from Afghanistan not even a year ago. And, you see all this shit. And like how you were saying, you just immediately get thrown into back and stuff, and that's when all the problems happen, Especially if you have kids with a wife and family,
yeah,
and the wife is in charge of the household for so long, the guy comes back and they go, nope, you're not the father anymore, and it fucks up the dudes, and that's when drinking happens, violence happens, and it sucks.
It's awful.
It is. And the other thing with the whole nasal spray, that's bullshit. I'm a medic myself, and that's just another way for the Army to throw something at a problem, just try to get like a quick fix, just so they really don't have to deal with it for the long run. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Little short-term, little bandage jobs, and it fucks up dudes at the end. And I've seen I've been there. I've had 2 tours on my belt, and I've seen other dudes with the same experience. And it just fucked them up at the end. So.
And again, the thing that pisses me off is I've always felt it was the country's responsibility. Not just, some government agent, but literally everybody who sits here and acts like we ought to kick their ass and blah, blah, blah. And then they feel like because they pay their taxes, they're done. Or you do some bullshit thing before an NFL game. I just don't think that the country ever takes responsibility. I'm talking about the society itself for the wars that they are part of.
Yeah, they want us to fight it and everything, but when we come back and we have battle scars and we have shit that's screwed up in our head by seeing dead bodies and seeing all the screwed up stuff, they'd be like, well, thanks, go on.
But but this is as old as history. Like in ancient Rome, when the army would come back, they didn't want them in Rome. They were like, we don't want soldiers here. We want you motherfuckers going out there, killing Egyptians, bringing shit back, dropping it off, but don't feel like you can hang out with us.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what do you do with soldiers in peacetime? It's like, thanks, but,
They wish that they wish that you, were missiles that they could then just put underground.
Yeah, you can't store us like that. We I've seen these guys, some of the guys I'm with right now, and we have a dwell time program which you can't go over for much time, and guys don't want to do that. They just want to sign papers and go, hey, send me back over, because they want to go back to it.
Yeah, because everything here feels weird, and also
and it's easier.
Yeah.
Over there. You go, wake up, you do your mission, you come back, hey, everything's straight. So.
All right, thanks, man. Peace.
Thank you, Fez. Thank you, buddy.
Here's the thing that we never get into our head is that a lot of these programs that we think are great, and your chance to talk it out. The same kind of guys that join the military aren't the kind of guys that want to do the kind of new agey, huggy programs and all that kind of stuff.
That's the last thing they're going to want to do.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just a problem, and not an easily solvable problem. What always pisses me off is that people will think, oh, there's a new drug or there's a new program, and boom, so I'm done with it. I'll go back to thinking about the other ways. But when you okay these wars, and I'm not just talking about the fucking president, I'm not saying that it was President Bush for signing in or Obama for keeping it over. I mean the regular fucking people have to take some kind of responsibility for this. And we don't. We're a bunch of whiny fucking gimme fucking bitches. And all we want is our own shit. And the same way we don't think before we go, let's send the troops in, is the same way we're not thinking when it's time for them to come back. The same exact fucking shit. 866 Ron Zero Fez. 866 Ron Zero Fez. Al, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, Ron. Hi, Fez. I had my nephew shot himself on Mother's Day, just past his Mother's Day, at Fort Drum. He was in about 3 years, and I made the comment, which I didn't want to be crass at all, but his unit was deployed back to Afghanistan, and I made a comment that sometimes he's probably better off going back with his unit to feel. I don't know. When I was in, we never made contact with anybody at home except by letters.
Yeah.
Never really had any contact, and it kept you in perspective on, okay, I'm here doing my time, finish up and get out, and you rotate. You're rotating individually, not as a unit. And today now you become so close to your comrades, your mates, that I believe that having that kind of contact with the home front. I mean, you just finished the mission, and you were just shot at, and now you're talking about the upcoming homecoming dance. It's a tough dichotomy to get into, and I really think that these guys, unfortunately, they've become acquainted with combat, even though they don't like it, they don't want it, but they might feel more adept at surviving in that environment than coming home on the street. And it's a problem that I think they're having as far as returning as a unit. And you're talking about a whole crew of people coming back with the same state of mind instead of an individual. And I think they feel more comfortable with their comrades and their mates.
Well, yeah, because it's not like they could identify with the rest of us who've never done this. You know what I mean? Not only are they're having a closeness where they're dependent upon each other's lives.
Exactly.
And you don't get that experience when you come back here and work here. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Thank you, Ron.
There was another thing, too, about the communication thing. I remember reading stuff about the Vietnam veterans, that they would be in a firefight and then could be in L.A. within 24 hours or something, and all of a sudden they're out on the street and there's, all kinds of things that are completely different than the firefight. In World War II, those guys were kind of shipped home with all their buddies, taking 2 weeks on some boat where everybody was literally going, hey, that was nuts, wasn't it? What are you going to do when you get home? And just having that opportunity.
Decompress.
Yeah. But the whole thing about Twitter and Facebook and Skype, where you can still do that becomes this bizarreness of the guy you are at home and the guy you are in Afghanistan.
And then the repeating tours, too, where you do get to come home, you see everybody, maybe you do start to feel normal again, and whoop, it's time to go back to Afghanistan.
Right, but the reason that was set up was so you don't get in too deep. You know what I mean? That's the thing, that every time you solve a problem, it creates more problems. And no matter what you do, then you're going to have to figure out what works about this and what doesn't. So the point wouldn't be, all right, by the way, you're not going to see your family for 2 years. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean it doesn't set up these psychological things of guys going and, in between those tours, they have a lot of free time on their hands and the worry that another one's coming. That's going to build. It's fucking crazy how difficult it is for this stuff. Let's go over here to Pat. Pat, you're on the Ron Fez show.
Hey, Ron Fez, huge fans. I'm a veteran. I just got out. I was in the Navy for 7 years, and I was been out since March. And I took a job at Coca-Cola, and it sucked, but I found a job back on a military base by my house, and I absolutely love it. I feel at home. So much more, energy. I just felt way better. But for those months I worked at Coca-Cola, I was straight depressed. My family said I was just moping around, couldn't do anything. And it's just tough when you first get out. Until these guys don't realize, everybody pushes in your head, get a job, get benefit. And I think it just overwhelms them. and that's why you have all these issues. Everybody should take the time off, just relax, just get all that ex-military stuff out of your blood. But it's just tough, with jobs, and I just feel bad for all these guys coming out. So
it is very, very tough, and we do have to say that it's much more of a complex problem than we ever give it. Here's Steve, California. You're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Yeah.
Plato's Republic was his ideal setting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he had the cops and the army completely separate from society. He just said there was no way that they could do what they do, see what they see, live what they live, and then come back home.
And he was writing that kind of stuff thousands of years ago. Thousands of years ago, we knew this was a problem. And in thousands of years, we haven't perfected the problem. And that is the thing of, we keep this military that's always going to be busy doing something all over the world. We spend trillions of dollars on it. Japan doesn't even feel the need for a military anymore.
No.
Just think of the money and the place was where they're putting their brain power, and then we have to fucking compete against them.
Yep.
So it's complex. It's complex stuff. Do you want a military? I think overwhelmingly the people would say yes. Overwhelmingly. Why don't you feel like it's more of your responsibility? That's it. I mean, there's some military towns where people are connected to what goes on with the military. Most of us are not. And to sit around and say oh, I have a cousin that served. I hate that fucking shit. I hate when someone just starts to brag about a nephew. That ain't you, dude. But that's what we do.
That's the easiest thing to do, to not give a fuck.
Yes, that's what we do. And we're like, well, what about me? Fuck.
I gotta get paid.
We're talking about fucking cutting things. Why not fucking, whatever you cut, turn around and do that kind of shit? Chris, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Yeah, Ron, I don't mean to sound like an asshole or whatever, but these guys are adults when they go, and they volunteer, and they kind of know, what they're getting into and what they might expect when they hear,
Chris, yes, you do sound like a dick, because number one, a lot of these guys are volunteering at 18, 19 years old by the time they're 21, 22 years old. Look at the difference of how many people volunteer for college and get their ass handed to them. All right?
But what about these guys that volunteer they're 18 and they want to go play in the NFL football knowing that they could have head injuries later on?
Yes, we're talking about the same thing. I also believe that's a responsibility of the people who demand that kind of entertainment. You're fucking saying that somehow you get the full benefits of these guys putting their bodies and brains on the fucking line, doing things for your country. Some of them are very honorable, and some of them turn out to be dishonorable, and you get to fucking stand back and not take any responsibility for either way. And that's bullshit, dude. That's you acting like somehow this fucking country owes you instead of you giving back. You want to be a fucking responsible citizen, stop acting like a fucking baby. Know that when the troops are sent somewhere, that's your fucking responsibility too. You don't get to yell shit back out like we ought to turn it to fucking sand and then not give a shit what happens after that. That's what's wrong with our fucking country. Everybody wants their own shit and they don't care. And then if you hear about some ex-military guy comes back and he does something incredible, then you're acting like, those fucking dudes better get their shit together, man. You know how many fucking vets are in jail in this country? Very high percentage. You know how many vets are fucking homeless? A very high percentage.
And they're opening up prisons just for veterans.
And we, as a fucking society, not only don't give a shit now, we never have. And yet, you're gonna... Again, I'm not gonna get fucking political here, and I don't want to, but Mitt Romney gets to sit around and talk tough now. During the Vietnam War, he got 6 fucking deferments. Bill Clinton got deferments. These fucking guys that are ready to now tell other young men where they have to go, when it was their time to be called upon, they didn't want any part of it. Dick Cheney got fucking deferments. But as they become middle-aged, now we're going to be a bunch of ass kickers. Now no one pushes this country around.
That's right.
It's fucking bullshit. It's just fucking bullshit.
It's pretty depressing.
It's very depressing. And it's depressing when I look at us and I'm left wanted. I'm left wanting for what people think it even entails anymore. And we'll sit around and bitch about our stuff. Other people are paying a higher fucking price than you for your freedom and security. If you don't give a shit about that, you tell me a lot about you. That guy who's saying, oh, okay, these young kids know what they volunteered for. Fuck you.
They really don't.
And even if they do, it still means they're putting up a different price than you. At the very least, be a fucking person and say thank you to that person. Be a human being. Bill, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Yeah, Ron. You know what? I was in the Army 22 years. I was a recruiter. I put hundreds of people in the Army. And that guy that called up talking about how fucking guys that are in, that are going in are dopes can kiss my lily white ass. Because of the people I put in and myself, he's got a right to be able to say that kind of bullshit. And you're right. They don't have a clue what it's about.
But here's what I will say. He's saying this stuff that other people live. They don't say it out loud. They'll say support the troops or whatever, thank you for your service. But the reality of it is they give nothing fucking, but they feel like him. They feel like it's a separate responsibility for them. And you sit around and wonder why people are acting like they're not involved in this country anymore, because they only want. People only want in the society. They see themselves as somehow blessed that they were born here and everything should now come to them. I'm telling you, we are fucked up. We're fucked up. To sit around and know how many of these guys came back from this thing that this country overwhelmingly wanted and not give a shit is fucked. Well, I'm embarrassed of us right now. I'm embarrassed of the way we act. Ryan, Texas, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, Ron, thanks for taking my call. I worked with homeless veterans at the VA. I was kind of a mental health therapist for a couple of years. And you're absolutely right. The problem is so much more complicated than people understand. First off, the lack of funding is shameful. For the veterans coming home, getting any type of mental health services, it is so pathetic that we cannot fund services to help these guys. Second, their quick fix is to get these guys on so many meds that they're walking zombies. It's just a shame. And also, I think a lot of people have absolutely no way of relating to the soldiers, to their experiences, and so we want to just put them off on their own and not relate or attempt to understand what they've gone through. It is shameful having worked in the industry or with the VA, and it makes me depressed at what these soldiers have to face when they get back, having served their country and put their lives on the line for us. It's enraging. So.
And yeah, and what we want, like you said, it's a quick fix. This, call people heroes or basically say we're going to put you on a bunch of pills. Anything but really take responsibility.
Absolutely. And every time I see a veteran in uniform or find out someone served, I go up to them and make sure I thank them for their service, because they do not get, not that they're into service for recognition, but our country has become so lazy with actually understanding and thanking these men and women for what they've done. So that's what I...
The other thing is the way that we put warning labels now on alcohol and tobacco products. We also should tell these guys that when they sign up, here's some of the things that can happen to you from signing up for this. You could end up homeless. You could end up with murderous rage. You could end up completely ignored by your entire society. Where's that fucking warning label? Where's that warning label that just tells them, by the way, you're making this sacrifice for a bunch of spoiled fucking brats who will pay more attention to their local football team than they'll ever give a fuck about you. And as many times as you hear people sit around saying these things, most of the time I just consider it hypocrisy. Just straight out hypocrisy. That, you know, oh, we're going to clap when the jet flies over, and then we get to forget about it and start to chant Tebow, Tebow.
Well, it's just superficial. People like superficial shit.
We do. We're shallow motherfuckers. By the way, I don't know whether you watched your Jets the other night, but both Sanchez and Tebow suck.
What the fuck? They're not going to. They're losing record guaranteed this season. That team
And it doesn't matter who they got at quarterback.
It's fucked.
All right, we do got a break here. Before I fucking pull a Tony Scott and just jump off a fucking
don't do
bridge.
it. Don't do it. Come on. Who knows why Tony Scott did that?
It's a Richard Corey thing, man. I know I got a break here. I know you want to talk about Julian Assange.
Oh, yeah.
We got to get into that.
WikiLeaks time.
I hate when I start to get all pissed off about stuff and I just fucking lose my mind. I get really mad at the people in this country.
It's a fucked up situation.
I mean, the thing is, as proud as we try to be about Americans, about America, sometimes being an American is an embarrassment. The way we treat all the things that we have here. It's
all taken for granted.
Preposterous. It's preposterous the way we act. The way we don't give a shit most of the time. And what our politics we call a bunch of fucking name calling instead of this is a legitimate fucking problem that Democrats and Republicans should say, no matter what else we get done, I want to work on this. Do you even see one guy in the Senate or the Congress who says, I'm going to say some things that might piss off Americans, but I don't care because this is more important than my re-election? No.
We're way past that. It's been years since anyone's fucking going to do... Everyone's just shitless.
And I get really pissed off with the amount of politicians who wanted nothing to do with this stuff when they were young men. And I don't blame them for saying I want to be out of Vietnam. But how hawkish they get in their fucking later years.
Well, the people they represent went there, so they have to fucking...
6 fucking deferments and he wants to be the military fucking president. Guys are getting their fucking asses blown off, and he's fucking, riding around on a bicycle in France asking people to be Mormons. Bill Clinton getting fucking strong in his later years, when he certainly wanted no part of it. Dick Cheney, fucking badass, in his later years, and wanted no part of it.
Well, he had a mercenary fucking army.
Why wouldn't one of them go, hey, when I was young, I was fucking didn't want any part of this. What can I do to keep this guy's out of shit? That guy would be fine with me. I would have no problem with him. If a guy got up and said, look, I wouldn't want any part of it when I was a kid, and I don't want to put in any part of it of putting other fucking young kids in harm's way.
Well, then they're seen as pussy.
That's the thing. Seen as. Yeah. That's what we worry about.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we fucking worry about. Seen as. Fucking stupid. All right, we got a lot of stuff we got to get to today. I'm behind. We'll take a break here, and when we come back, I want to put up this piece of, and it's going to be a big spoiler alert, but apparently there's a children's film out there.
All right.
That parents don't completely know what the fuck is going on with. This is the one where they find the kid growing leaves out of his legs.
Oh, yeah, I seen a commercial for this.
I think it's called Jimmy fucking Beanstalk is the name of it. Jimmy Beanstalk. So some of the parents, they took their kid to see Jimmy Beanstalk. And I'm going to do the spoiler alert. I don't even know where we have it on this thing anymore. I know we got 2 replays. One of them locked up, the other one not. But we will do a spoiler alert when we come back and talk about it. It's the Ron and Fez Show.